Good morning somewhere. This is Dr. JJ in the driver's seat for another edition of our show. Welcome. First timers need not admit to a problem. Just listen and we'll try to inform and maybe entertain. We're talking to Hunter today. What's on your mind today, Hunter?
Dr. JJ, how you be, man?
I'm doing good, sir. Thank you very much. How about you?
I'm good, man. Good. Lot going on, um, and good stuff. Good stuff in a good place this week. Look, I wanted to talk about a work um, working with, um, and want to talk about it for the work we're doing. It's called "Step Out of Your Story:
Mhm.
Writing Exercise to Reframe and Transform Your Life." The author is uh, Kim Snyderman,
Snyderman.
and
Okay.
so right, Kim Snyderman, right? It approaches in it is to me it approaches our work, um, but it certainly approaches it in terms of writing in the third person and creating a redemptive narrative,
Hmm.
which to me is very akin to, as I've read it once and I'm going back to the second time. It's very akin to, in many ways, doing the work of working the steps. So I want to bring it to into our conversations, and even starting with uh, uh, it around step one, and we had some prior conversation about this, about life being unmanageable, um,
Hmm.
and um, and
Sure.
it's
No, it's
it, it's a yeah, yeah.
again
Mhm.
steps. You may want to restate step one for our audience so they understand the details of what we're talking about.
Just to
We,
paraphrase,
we admitted basically
yeah,
we admitted we had a problem,
and life has become
uh,
unmanageable, right?
and we were powerless over it,
Uh,
and our lives had become unmanageable in the process.
Right.
That's kind of a synopsis of any step one in any 12-step program.
You want to state it one more time? Yeah, just so make sure the audience, your audience, have that.
Correctly, and I happen to have it near at hand. We admitted we were powerless over whatever our addictions were, and that our lives had become unmanageable. Okay,
Okay, right. Um,
if you're not
it,
having that at the
yeah,
top of mind.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. Um, so that's that
That
right there.
frames a certain part of the story
Yeah. What I was
that
gonna say is,
gets us in these rooms. Go
yeah.
ahead, please.
I was gonna say it's always been a bit of a struggle to own powerlessness, as a you know uh, uh, older African American male,
I
and
was going to say,
copy.
as the former defensive tight end or
Yeah, yeah,
defensive
yeah,
end.
yeah. Defensive, copying to powerlessness has never been my strong suit. So
Fair enough.
there's always been some hesitancy with that language. I
Yes.
understand the intent, but it's always been some. So, it's kind of like it doesn't
Oh,
drip
sure.
off my lips, readily.
Indeed.
So,
Indeed.
but that being said, um, what the what the work speaks of, that that's important here,
Mhm.
is that we're not the sole author of our stories.
Ah,
Um, and when I read that, it made sense, because okay, um, now I if okay, so we're not sole author of our stories,
right.
which opened the door for me to, okay, um, a cast of characters, and we have our uh, so I'm gonna stay here. I'm moving. so we have characters. Not sole author, which to me opens the door for characters. So if I'm not if I'm not owning I have these characters, um, in owning I have these characters, I'm interpreting that as a way of owning some powerlessness because it's not I'm not the sole author of the story. I got, I'm kind of sharing the stage. I'm not all powerful. Is that
Mm.
making does that that's how it occurs to me. That's how I made
Okay.
sense of that. Does that
I suggest that that is part of uh, what's happening here. You may recall as we review the description of our past, whether it's in the first step or elsewhere, we also begin to acknowledge that others have an influence on that story, uh, others beyond us. And indeed, early in our lives, I'll suggest that others uh, pretty much have control of much of that story very early on in childhood, for example. So I think it's important to acknowledge not just the internal characters, but the other influences that affect the beginnings, at least, and the initial phases of our story, which would support the notion that I am not the only author of my entire story. Does that make sense?
in fact, to your point, one of the things that with that getting into terms of this uh, uh, b- building, developing a redemptive narrative, is the inner and outer influences.
Yes,
To your point, it's not.
indeed.
They're that's a two-sided coin. The person
Yeah,
has there's the inner part of the character and there's the outer story. What's happening with that character?
or
We're
happening
shaped to
to,
that to
yeah,
the character, right? Shaped by inner forces and outer forces,
okay.
both. To your point, and so and I heard somebody say that we've as we said it here before, why family push our buttons because they helped install
That's right.
them. If they know how
So
to push them,
true. Yeah. The wiring is not just of our own making. Let's understand that, yeah, those buttons were put in with some help.
some help. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Um, so again, just stay, so this is this um
So how's that helping you
yeah,
with step one?
yeah. So well, it's the point of it is and I bring up the work. Um, I'm open to exploring uh, this uh, this work uh, anew with balancing it with developing this redemptive narrative and telling this in this unfolding story that we want to develop. So I'm just staying here. Um, and as I was my point about owning powerlessness
Mm, yeah.
is um, in this context where we're talking about, um, to the extent that I have not been able to own my characters uh, openly uh, and understood, it so having you know from I guess the earliest if I think about some things of early childhood experiences,
Yeah.
um, not telling the truth, lying, um,
Mhm.
and wanting to conceal uh, um, uh, stuff from I think I
Yeah.
may have shared with you the story of of it just comes to mind this moment of um, wanting to be on this basketball team at an early age, um, and
Mm,
and and not being eligible because uh, I was too old Um, so I don't know how I did this, but I came up with some way of doctoring my birth certificate. So that I again, I'm creative at an
Oh, is
early
that
age.
why you look 82 years old?
And
No,
I but
go ahead. Go
and
ahead. Go ahead.
I was able to play with kids that were younger than me,
Ah,
and be somewhat good or dominate because they were much younger than me, because because I couldn't play with the kids older than me because I couldn't make it. But the point of it is of the is at an early age, I came up with some way of changing the birth certificate, and so it and my point of it in
and
mention is
keeping it secret.
keep the
So you
secret,
were
right,
it's
exactly,
very much about keeping secrets.
secret, very much about keeping secrets, exactly, um, and keeping secrets became normative,
Right.
and a part of, uh, but not realizing that, as you said, in terms of this, we say your sick is your secrets,
Mhm.
that the secrets, and I'm not just talking about the behavior. I'm talking about suppressing the character.
Oh, yes.
That's what my point is. It was an early thing in my mind. I can remember it, but I think it was important, not because of some misdeed or misbehavior, but because a character was forming, that knew how to take care of things. That's what why I mention it. That the and was proficient at storytelling. Because I, like I said, I got, I doctored, stuff like
You,
so
you'll shape the evidence
right,
to fit
right,
the
right.
story that
I
you
wanted to
want to make up.
right, right, hotel. So that's what. So I'm really dealing with with where this.
Right.
Um,
Well,
it,
and you had some encounters with authorities, recognizing your talent, even if it was misused, as I recall, suggesting that you would either end up as a
yeah.
what you were going to end up as a professional of one sort or another, right?
Right. Thank you. Okay. I don't remember which chicken or egg, which one, but exactly. This. Thank you. This again. This gift for storytelling,
Hmm.
recognized early on,
Mhm.
and and not allowed to, or is it not allowed to, not encouraged,
No, no,
to
certainly not encouraged, because it was the outcomes, it was the symptoms that were being dealt with, not the cause. The authorities, be it a principal or an assistant principal, were looking at the effect, not what was causing the the storytelling in this case, right?
right, right, right. But exactly. Um,
So the storytelling itself was not really seen as of any value under the circumstance. So it wasn't appreciated. To your point,
um, actually, I think by the specific, so we can unpack this.
that incident, yes.
This is fourth grade. This is being in the principal's office, in the school I was at. My mother happened to be a librarian, so she was literally in the same building. In terms of calling her to the office, I was in trouble again, and the conversation they were having outside the office, which I could overhear, was the 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 principal saying, um, one day he's either going to be a successful lawyer or a criminal, because he sure can't tell a story. So actually, a gift.
So it was appreciated in
It
a
was
sense.
appreciated, but and kind of, what do you call it? A backhanded compliment.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
That's the term.
Yeah, that's a backhand compliment, right? Exactly. So that being but it was recognized. The point is, it was
That's good.
recognized.
That's fair. Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
it
Okay.
was recognized, but it wasn't encouraged to be as you said, because so much was played on the effect, or you said not the cause, or that this could somehow really be some kind of gift. It really not just a backhand compliment, but
Right.
really he has a gift for something that fast forward, again how as I've shared in the blog, sharing the same um, dilemma with my
Mm,
barber who had a son who told these whoppers,
yes.
and he was perplexed, befuddled, by it, and I relayed. Um, what I didn't think to do was tell him about that. I told
Your
him
own incident.
about my own incident. What I told him to do is that he should, again, having lived through it, he might find, invest in some creative writing class or something, because he's got a gift.
Yeah.
I didn't have the presence in the moment to share why I was telling him that. I did tell him that, but I didn't think to tell him. I'm
Okay.
saying this because I've been there.
Sure.
Maybe he would, he kind of laughed it off. But maybe if I told him, shared why I said that, he might have taken it more seriously.
Exactly.
If I could have actually shared from my experience.
Well,
Um,
and it's that kind of sharing from personal experience, which is the most authentic storytelling and has the most impact as we encounter people. And again, it can be as simple as the encounter with your barber, right? It is nothing until it becomes something. And often it is the significance, it's the salience of our own experience when shared that turns the so-called nothing into something of significance to the other person.
Spot on, Dr.
That's
JJ.
that's
Spot no,
that's an important part. Once again, an important part of storytelling, an important part of recovery as we reframe the story, which is what you were talking about in the first place. This the step out of your story really appeals to me, and indeed, it's on my to read list. So because it relates so well to many of the recovery stories and the recovery uh, pathways that I've read about as well. I've shared about Pat Carnes and the Recovery Zone, his focus on the hero's journey, the notion that this is what in recovery we are attempting to do is again follow that. And one of the reasons why the hero's journey in literature and art is so appealing to so many people. It is almost a universal it's almost universal in its appeal because it reflects the personal story of true growth and transformation. So it's all to say, I think there's some real parallels here that need to be explored.
I want to stay here. I'm with you. I want to stay here um, with why it didn't occur to me um,
Mhm.
in that moment
Okay.
um, wasn't just a function of lack of recall or not coming to mind because we've talked about this before. So certainly
True.
it's in my consciousness. Okay, it's there. Um, but as I'm sitting in the chair, I'm not in that character,
Okay.
and so part of what comes when we talk about the authentic lived truth um, is about being able to being able to again I'm well again I'm actually going to go uh your quoting of brother Carnes there in terms of recovery is the zone it's a zone.
Mhm.
Is to get
Yeah,
into a zone.
right.
And in that zone, which can be like Pandora's box, all kind of shit can jump out. But anyway, you getting in
But
there.
like
But
Pandora's box, there's a gift.
yeah,
Please continue.
yeah. I'm just saying in terms of of why in certain instances, but and this
But when we're not in the zone, again, we're focused in different areas. It doesn't mean that it's not within our awareness, but it's not within our focus to
right.
relate to certain things.
So going but going back again, I'm staying with the basketball story of the principal. Um, like and again, it's his own is um, there's the world as it occurred to me at that time,
Yes.
and how I I handled things that need to be handled uh, as the world occurred to me at that time in that time. So when we talk about the 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 backhanded compliment um, is kind of not understanding the the world of my fourth grade character that they're looking at it from this authoritative operation of but not in terms of my you know you know what
Right.
I'm saying
Yes.
and um I'm dealing with early hunter stuff
Sure.
I mean
Oh, absolutely.
this is early hunter stuff
Yes, it is.
is we see we see things and we we're creative so we want to play basketball so let's get out the birth certificate, see what we got going on here.
We're gonna make it happen.
Let's make it happen,
Let's make it happen.
Let's
Right.
make it
What?
happen.
Oh, I need something different. Okay, I got something different.
I got,
I got you different.
I got, I can great,
Yes.
you're, that, so that,
So,
that
no, there's no.
zone, yeah,
Yeah, it's the well, and that's and I'll generalize a little bit. That's one of the that's one of the keys to may I suggest to a successful educator. Not that I am one. I've taught a lot, but that's only as an aside. A true professional educator can recognize, I'm not going to say get into the mindset of the student, but can recognize the mindset of the student and relate material to the mindset of the student, not to the mindset of the instructor.
so
That, and
like,
therefore have an appreciation for like your fourth grader, have an appreciation for that mindset, and then work with that mindset to bring it forth to where it can flourish.
um, I was going, I was going to say, you're definitely tracking with me, Dr. JJ. I was going to say is, um, and this has to do with outer inner story. So and influences. Uh, uh, um, I'm talking about early hunter shit, stuff.
Yes.
Um, Yet the outer is um, is we need to curtail this. We need to put a damp. This back company is we want you on a path that looks like legitimacy, the way we want you to go, and so we got to stamp this out. This is unlike what I unlike. I would say can come forward when I'm
Yeah.
talking to Barber. That don't know why they what I had the press mind that sharing
Mm.
was late Hunter suggesting something that no one did for me.
Hmm.
This might be how you can creatively work with him. Did it, and I'm here to
Understand.
tell you that instead of trying to, as like he was talking about, beat it out of him, you
Right.
know, this,
Oh, and I
and
suggest you had the presence of mind to go there, but didn't tie it back to the early Hunter experience,
right, right,
which might have
right,
enriched the message. That's all. But you did go there because you do have Hunter as the adult character. But again, the relating it to the young Hunter experience could have enriched the message that you were sending. But again, so you're sitting in the chair. You're sitting in the chair as an older African American sharing with another African American. Okay, you're on the other side of the divide. You're on the authoritative side of the divide in that context. May I suggest that's and when I'm sitting in that chair talking with my barber about something, I'm not seeing it from the fourth grader's point of view or the you know
exactly, right,
12-year-old or however
right,
the old is.
right,
I'm not thinking in those. I'm thinking I'm literally sitting on the other side of a in this case a biophysiological and psychological developmental divide. Just to have have too many adjectives in there. The fact is that I am removed from that early environment just because of my circumstance, and and some of so and indeed some of my work is just awareness of the situation that's being described, or the story that's being told, so that I relate it to all of my characters.
staying again.
How am I
Thank you,
doing?
Doctor. No, thank you, Doctor JJ. You spot on. No, staying with you
Okay.
spot on. Staying with where we are.
Yes.
So we're talking about step one in powerlessness. Um, I heard what you just said. Know where you're coming from. Um, that's part of the powerlessness. Is
Go ahead.
not to be able to get there
Hmm. Okay.
is part of and
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and 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 how that got suppressed
Hmm.
is a part of of the powerlessness, the lived powerlessness that has come forward.
Yes.
Um, and I'm saying that with the step in the work, uh, kind of going back to you know what we shared in terms of listening to a presentation from Tyler Perry, is to be able to get back there where this was, where
Right.
this happened, and begin to 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 look out from that space,
From that
and
perspective.
from that perspective,
Hmm.
and to begin to come forward. Without that, that's powerlessness. That's where I'm powerless because you see I'm doing I'm taking that with that
Oh
with the
yes. No.
with I'm deep, in terms of what is that's why I say now I can say now I can get with this. It's unmanageable and powerless because because
Yes.
that yeah
Because
that
you're cut off from your power.
yeah
You are cut off
from,
from
from
your power,
yeah and
from
can
that
it be
which we are given innately and have access to innately.
can there
We are cut off from it,
can it
but by various things, okay, and events and activities, and shall I say addictions. my addiction cuts me off from my power, for example. We are as a result, we are powerless. And the point not so much being the addiction as what the addiction represents, which is that which cuts us off from our power, which
Yeah.
is why the
Right,
steps can be generalized as a program of transformation for anybody,
right,
anybody.
right, right, right.
So
To your point, I say, you know, I'm thinking, I'm like, I'm pushing back. And I'm not, I'm not liking this powerlessness. I'm not liking copying this power. I don't have an idea of how powerless I am. I mean, it's like,
aha,
you know, and
aha, aha,
I
says the sponsor.
yeah. You know what
Now we're getting somewhere. Thank you.
you know what the I tell you what, it's in a Coming to America. This bit from Coming to America. The, uh, the gentleman goes to the restaurant. He orders a bowl of soup. He sits at the table, and he brings him soup. And he calls the waiter over. He says to taste. You heard this? Taste the soup. And he said, uh, sir, is there something wrong with the soup? Uh, he says, no, just taste the soup. He said, is the soup cold or something? He said, you know, taste the soup. He said, sir, I'm happy to get you another one. Just taste the soup. And he reached out, where's the spoon? Aha! Aha! Aha!
Yes, yes, yes.
Aha!
Another universal moment. Oh, you mean I need a key to this? Aha!
Aha!
Aha! Exactly. So, word for the day. Aha.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah,
But
not
yes,
not 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 I just um yeah, not I mean not
but
I,
this lets you begin to understand what is really meant by that term power.
yeah. Not just ready. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just wanted
Yeah,
to summarize
yeah.
the entire
And and
discussion.
and and
Yeah.
and to your point of what your observation about the barbershop, you know, um, while I call myself trying to help by sharing something, what I'm not in touch with and can't go, is a source I can't go to, is is not to be able to access my real power. I have power that I could, if I could have been, to be able, I'm just using as an example
Just an example. That's right.
again of what you're saying
Because
about power.
sometimes we've got it and sometimes we don't.
Yeah,
Sometimes
yeah.
we can access it and sometimes it's not available to
Yeah,
us. So
but
this was
it's
the
a
circumstance.
but I'm pointing to your point. It's
Yes.
about source. It's
Yeah.
a it's so to your point in terms of is um this is a sourcing matter, not
Okay.
a good bad deeds matter. This is a sourcing matter that is that is deep. It's a so it's is that making I'm
That's making sense to me that the deeds reflect the sourcing problem. What is or is not done in the moment tells us whether or not we have access to that source of power or not, right?
I'm
So the deeds are telling, but the deeds are not the issue. The issue is the source.
I'm wanting to quote an authority that told me something about uh, physical matter.
Ah,
I think we.
yes, yes,
and-
I've been around this bend a couple of times.
okay,
Please
so so,
continue.
I'm thinking about uh, if it can be uh, connected to
Mm,
the opportunity to perhaps flip it. But if you can't even connect to it, you can't possibly flip it.
no,
And so the
because
power,
it's too hot.
it's,
It's too hot.
but
Just to continue the metaphor of physical, radioactive handling something it's too hot to handle. I can't get close to it. If I can't get close to it, how can I share it?
yeah, I'm talking about.
You're right on.
Am I
Yep.
barking up the right tree? I mean,
No,
I'm
yes,
staying with,
yes, yes, you are. But at
I'm
least
staying with.
let me put it this way: it's a tree I'm up. Somebody in the audience may suggest a different tree, but I'm just saying that's the tree I'm
Yeah,
in. So
yeah. So again, I'm staying with the sourcing. When I say
yes,
is
yeah. If it's
it's
accessible or not accessible to
accessible,
me at the time.
right? It uh and so again, staying with the power, um, it being too hot,
Mm.
so I bury it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yes.
it's too hot, so I do something with it because I can't, I'm reminded now of talking with someone in recovery and some of my characters
Mm.
and they're not wanting to. They said, I can't open that box
Right.
because I can't. Um,
Can't
Once it's
handle what's
over,
in there.
I can't handle what's in there. Yeah. Um,
That fits this
I,
metaphor perfectly.
yeah, I didn't. I intellectually got it when they said it. Now I'm getting where the where the where I kind of dismissed it as being, well, I didn't. Now I'm more acutely aware of what it is they're talking about. Um, is But it's not intellectual.
No,
I'm getting it.
no, no,
I'm
no.
getting it at the level of my own powerlessness of not being able to go go certain places, and I'm cut off from certain source. That's really what they were talking about,
Yes,
and it wasn't to
absolutely.
be dismissed. It was to be understood of of
I
of
and I
the
got to
equal.
stop you here. I got to
Sure.
stop you here. It's this awareness and appreciation that you're just expressing, which are the elements of compassion. Please hear this. When you can not just it, you intellectually you understood what the person was saying. He couldn't go there. She couldn't go there. They couldn't open that box. Now that you recognize what that box represents, again, these are metaphors, but they're useful metaphors. You recognize that box represents something toxic, so toxic, like radioactive, as I suggested, so toxic, it burns. It burns the soul. It burns to even encounter it without the appropriate shielding and protection and awareness. And there are tools for that, but we'll talk about that another. But now that you sense the feeling of it, you can have compassion for that person. This is where they are. You don't want them to stay there, but you can feel what they're feeling, which is ultimately what compassion is about, is it not?
Mm, mm,
When I can have compassion
yes. Yes, yes,
where in
yes,
where
yes,
in,
yes, yes, yes. I was just
I
trying
was
to
jumping ahead.
absorb
I'm
it.
sorry. I
No, I
just
was, no, I was just, yeah.
I'm
But
okay. Good.
yes, the answer is yes. I was feasting on what you were saying. I
Okay.
wouldn't realize I wasn't
Fair enough.
answering. Yeah, I'm shaking my head. Yeah,
Good.
yes, that answer is yes. Yeah.
Just but that compassion is the opportunity for an alliance. That compassion allows us to understand how to walk with the other person, whether it's for 6 seconds, 6 years, or a lifetime. That's the basis for walking together, doing
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Thank you, Dr. JJ. Yeah, we're gonna. I think it's a good place to stick a fork in. Yeah. Wow, thank you
Okay.
for thanks for
We'll carve
yeah,
on it some more next time, but
but thanks for not letting me. I mean, I was rushing. I was going. I was on on the road. Thanks for pulling me back.
no,
Yeah,
no problem. We'll have other chances to travel the road, but sometimes we need to stop and look at the landmarks.
yeah, yeah. Thank
This
you.
was one of them. Thank you for letting me do.
Thank you.
Well, and I will suggest that those who are interested in some of the references we make, we do try to explain them here, but we don't always get a chance to. But I believe there's some blogs and other podcasts that might provide some clues to some of the conversations we're having, right, Hunter?
Yes, and if you want to go to Rect America, yes, thank you, Dr. J. We bid you to go to rectamerica.com and look at the other podcasts and materials and content we have there, and also the blog on In These Rooms blog, which is on movingtheworld.us. So the In These Rooms blog, I commend to you. It's on movingtheworld.us. And for other podcasts and voices, please go over to rectamerica.com and listen to the Badass Talks and other podcasts you find under podcast there. So thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you, Hunter. Always appreciate it. And I'll be signing off now. This is Dr. JJ. I hope you folks have a great day.